had one this morning because I made my way to Brockville. We are spending the day here at Culligan of Brockville. I'm joined now by Bernie Frith, the VP and CEO of Eastern Ontario Water Technology Limited. Thanks for having us.
Well, welcome down to the St. Lawrence Valley. It's good to see you down by the river.
It's great to be here. Now, I'm trying to take in the entire water processing lineup, and it's quite a lot. So let's start from the basics. Where does the water come from before it gets filtered?
We start with Brockville municipal water, and the water is totally safe to drink. I mean, it's a municipal supply. They chlorinate it, they treat it. It meets all provincial standards. Certainly lovely to drink.
I looked at the two glasses. They look very similar. The only difference, the city of Brockville water has a little bit of a chlorinated taste to it.
Absolutely, and all municipal supplies do that. That's what gives water it keeps it safe to allow it to run in the pipes throughout the city.
So we've got a number of tanks that the water needs to go through. What's the first one down at the end here?
Well, these first two are actual tanks that remove the chlorine and the organics from the water supply. Because we pull from a river source, you can have a very natural, quote, taste to it, and that removes all of that sort of decayed vegetation that actually dissolved into the water, which comes from naturally from a surface water source.
Okay. These two?
The next three actually are water softeners, and water softeners remove primarily the hard water elements of calcium and magnesium, and they do pull out some other elements as well. But these are the ones that actually scale up your kettle, your hot water tank, your dishwasher, and they're minerals that are more nuisance than anything.
Is there a negative to using hard water?
People enjoy the taste. Some people enjoy the taste, not all. But the biggest negative is that by using hard water, it actually costs you a lot more money to utilize the water because these things come out of solution and they scale up your appliances, which forces you to replace them sooner.
Okay, so soft water is saving you money. Soft water
Right off the bat.
What are these various valves used for?
What we do with these valves is that they allow us to actually test the water after each stage in the process. So as we remove particular items or compounds from the water supply, we actually can test and make sure that in fact the levels that we think we are achieving, we are in fact achieving.
So I was using this kit before the commercial break, but you are using technology far more advanced than this archaic kit here, and that's what brings us to this screen, right?
Yes, absolutely. We are able to actually monitor our entire plant. And for instance, the storage tank levels, we're able to see exactly how much water is actually sitting in those tanks because you can't see the levels. And we can control things like the pumps and things like that. So this is a fully automated system that as soon as the tank levels drop, everything turns on and automatically produces more volume.
When does reverse osmosis come into the process?
The big word, the big complicated word. That's after we've treated and we've actually prepared the water for the big treatment. And the big treatment actually uses a membrane type process where you actually have a spiral wound membrane around the core. Now this is a 2.5-inch model. This is an 8-inch model. This is for industrial, commercial applications. This is the size that would be used in a household unit that you'll be seeing about a little bit later.
I like to call it the mini membrane.
The mini membrane, absolutely. So this process actually takes, for instance, in our municipal supply, there's about 200 parts per million of dissolved solids. Now, when you think of that, think in terms of salt or sugar, anything like that being dissolved in water. You can't see it, totally dissolved. Membrane processes like this actually remove those dissolved compounds from the water. So we bring in at about 200 parts per million, and it leaves here at about 3.
Okay.
So 98, 99% rejection of all of the dissolved things that are in the water are gone after this wonderful membrane process.
Believe it or not, this is only the very first part of the process that's done here in Brockville, but we will continue to spend the morning with you.
Absolutely.
We're going to break it down for our viewers so they really have a thorough understanding of what the water goes through before it arrives at their home.
Absolutely, that's wonderful.
Head to the Culligan Water website to learn more information. We are about to show you the next step here in the bottling process at the Culligan Water Processing Plant here in Brockville, and I'm joined by the perfect person to do it. John Warsnop is the plant manager here in Brockville. How many years did you say you've been working here?
25 years.
That's impressive. I'm paired with the perfect person. All right. What was wrong with the bottle that I'm holding here? Why did it end up on this stack?
It's just, it's quite simply too dirty. We like the bottles to be pre-washed quite simply before they go in the machine. The machine has the ability to clean the machine, to clean the bottle, but of course we like to inspect every bottle before it goes in.
Okay, so we've got your team members here. They're smelling the bottles. What are we smelling for?
Any foreign odor. It could be anything from mustiness to foreign objects. Sometimes a bug will get in it. Anything, just from being stored at people's homes.
Okay, so if the slightest thing is wrong with the bottle, up here it goes.
The bottle is rejected.
And what will happen to the rejected bottles?
We generally take the bottles over to our sink, and we'll either hand wash the ones we feel can be cleaned and put that out for circulation. If we feel it is beyond a simple cleaning process, the bottle is destroyed and recycled.
Very good. Now, the bottles that pass inspection are moving down the line here. What's happening to them in there?
In the first stage of the machine, it's a 4-stage machine, Sarah. The first stage of the machine will just gently rinse anything off the outside of the bottle that may need to be removed before it goes into the next step.
Okay, so let's swing around the side here because as we take a look, it's being washed a number of times, right?
Many times. There's a wash cycle. It is 4 stages long, 150-degree water, soap, and that is the longest cycle of the machine, the actual washing of the bottle.
All right, let's follow the camera over here. And we'll apologize to folks at home if it's a little bit difficult to hear us here, but that's what we need to deal with if we want to be in the midst of the action, right?
Exactly. It's very noisy in here when we're up and running.
Okay, so the first one is soap and water, right?
First one is just quick, straight water. The second stage, of course, is a 4-stage wash tank with hot water and soap.
Hot water and soap, and then what comes after the hot water and soap?
The next stage would be the sanitizer, where sanitize is introduced to the water and the bottle is rinsed just to ensure final sanitization.
And what about the step here? It looks as though the bottles are being filled.
That's right. After they've been finally rinsed, the bottles are put out of the machine, tilted, and loaded up for filling from our pre-treated water from the other side prior to being capped.
All right, come on over here to the lineup of bottles. You mentioned that there are some bits of information that are written on the caps of the bottles. What are these information?
The first date is, there's 2 dates. The first date is a production date, and the second date is an expiry date.
Okay.
That way the customer knows the day the water was bottled and the day that it's good to.
So which is which?
On the top is the production date, which is June 17th. The second date would be June 17th, 2 years later. And then finally a batch code number is put on so we can identify the water, the day was bottled, and if we needed to, we could trace deliveries anywhere if we needed to call some water back.
Why is there a 2-year expiry date on water?
Well, under, like any food product, water can go bad. But under ideal conditions, which is cool temperatures and darkness, sealed water is completely safe for 2 years.
Okay, so we should remind people at home, if you've got bottles of water in the house, keep it somewhere cool and dark.
Absolutely.
Okay, now this is a piece of machinery that was introduced that has really made it a lot easier on your back, right?
It's a lifesaver. We call this a bottled water stacker. We just recently got this, probably in the last few years, and we used to have to load all the bottles by hand, which is typically 3,500 bottles a day. With this, it speeds up production. It's a lot safer for our workers, easier on their backs, easier on their wrists. Each one of these bottles weighs 50 pounds.
So you set out a bottle here for me, so I can experience just how heavy it is, right?
Exactly.
Okay, can I give you the microphone for a sec?
Sure can.
Okay.
Imagine doing that 3,500 times a day.
Where does it need to go?
Just straight down is fine, Sarah.
No, we're putting it where it needs to go.
Oh, okay. Let's just put it over here so one of these guys can, maybe Omar will take that from
No,
you.
John, I'm finishing this.
Let's slide it right on the rack then here, Sarah. You're hired.
How many did you say you go through in a day?
3,500.
Okay, so only 3,499 more to go?
Yeah, we've got a little more work to do today.
We will continue to tour the Culligan water processing plant here in Brockville. We are broadcasting live from the Culligan Brockville water processing plant. It's been a very interesting experience for me this morning, a lot to take in. But as I was saying a few minutes ago, this iconic blue jug that many of us recognize originally starts as this shape here. I'm joined now by the VP and CEO of Eastern Ontario Water Technology Limited, Bernie Frith, and the plant manager here at Culligan Brockville, John. I wouldn't have thought that it starts as this shape. Where is this manufactured?
There's actually several manufacturers around the globe. We bring these things in a pre-formed set like this, all set ready to go with a food grade plastic.
So what needs to happen to them to take this shape here?
Well, the first step in the process is that we send it through a preheat, and the preheat actually brings the temperature of the plastic up slowly. And it does this both internally and externally. And once the plastic actually reaches the right temperature, which is all set up in the machine, we then take it on to the second stage where we actually blow the bottle.
What would happen if we raise the temperature of the bottle too quickly?
Well, this is a perfect example because when the temperature is too high, you end up with what's called a pearling that occurs. And that actually gives a weak spot to the bottle.
And then that's when we will see a flaw in the next step, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so once it reaches, I think it's 100 degrees in here, right?
It leaves the actual temperature of the preform leaves at 100 degrees, yes.
Then you pop it into
We
this
bring it
mold
over
here.
to this machine and it pops in to a mold that sits right here. The two sides of the molds come together.
Now there is a reason why we can't show you this portion of the process live, and that, Bernie, is in large part to the fact that we need to use these right here.
Absolutely. This is a very loud process because it uses high pressure. So typically the operator would be wearing his headset, and it's a two-handed process whereby the machine is initiated by both hands, totally clear from the work surface. With the hands up here, the two pieces of the mold comes together.
And then when the mold eventually opens,
you end up with a fully preset bottle, and we've actually slid a handle in here as well.
okay.
And then with this expansion process, this 300 psi, a rod comes down and actually extends the plastic so that it's the right length. And then the high pressure comes down and actually blows the bottle. And then when we're done, we end up with a handle that's completely integrated right into the bottle.
You mentioned that there have been times where you've been sitting in your office across the way and you get the pants scared right off of you. What happens on those rare occasions?
On the rare occasions, we'll actually have a defect in the preform. And what will happen is that you will get what's called a blowout, where that defect in the bottle, after it's gone through the heat process, creates a weak spot in here. And then you're applying 300 pounds per square inch. It causes the bottle form to blow or explode.
Which you said is just...
Very loud, very loud.
Okay, so the odd time when these bottles come back, they aren't, what would the right words be, John? They're not...
Acceptable for reuse.
Acceptable for reuse. So then what happens to them?
Well, of course, here at Culligan, it's very important for us to be environmentally responsible. So what we do is we recycle the plastic. It is 100% recyclable plastic, and we actually, at Culligan, have a 100% diversion rate on the bottles. What we do is we compact them in a compactor. They are baled, and they are returned to recycling facilities. There's many recycling facilities around here, and then the plastic is reused again for anything from microwave trays to bottles, children's playground equipment. So 100% recycling. Typically, the life of a bottle under ideal circumstances is about 10 years, as long as things happen, but we can get 10 years out of a bottle.
Okay.
So
we couldn't show you the compacted plastic because it's considered waste.
Right.
And obviously here inside the plant, you're very hygienically sound with our hair nets and our beard nets. I was having a bit of fun with those. But why is it so important for Culligan to be so environmentally sound?
Well, I think it's important for everybody to be environmentally responsible nowadays. We have an enormous float of bottles. If we weren't environmentally responsible, we would be creating waste. So I think it's important that we do, and any company that is potentially creating waste that can be recycled is doing so.
And I'm glad that we took the chance to talk about this, because I think one of the biggest issues that people who are oblivious to the fact that you're recycling so much have is that they're saying when you drink water, bottled water, that you're creating waste.
Exactly.
But that's not the case, because you're recycling it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, we have one last step of the process to show you. We're inside the bottling part of the plant a little bit earlier in the morning, but there is an option for you, if you've got one of the Culligan water machines at home, to do a little bit of self-bottling. So that's what we'll be doing at about 9:30 this morning. So we have been looking at here at Culligan how they process all of the water to make sure that it is the utmost of cleanest water, and then of course bottle the water themselves. But I'm now joined by Les Orr. He is the sales manager here at Culligan. There's a different option for people who want to fill it themselves, right?
Correct. What people normally do is they have option one is they can pick up their bottle as they walk in and take it out, or option two is do our refill station. So basically is they tear off the cap,
Okay.
they come in and they want to flush their bottle. We recommend 3 times. 1.
And what are we flushing it with right now?
We're flushing with ozone water just to purify, making sure the bottle is sterilized. And then what we do is we come over here and we start filling the bottle.
And
Very simple, easy process.
is there different water in each one of these taps?
It's all the same. So just as the station gets busy, then we can accommodate our customers by 3 different taps, so 3 different people can fill at the same time.
And why is this tap a little bit lower than this one?
Because we have smaller bottles,
Right.
and so they're the 18 liters, and then the smaller bottles for lighter weight for people that don't want to carry the heavy one. They can accommodate them by doing the lighter bottle.
I was attempting to carry around a bottle earlier today because I know that the workers used to have to manually pick it up and put it onto the carts, and it was quite the feat.
Yes, very heavy. So we have other options to that, so that people don't have to carry the heavier bottle of water around. And then once the process of the filling the bottle is completed, almost there.
Don't overflow it.
We won't. We want to fill it right to the neck.
It's almost like you've done this before.
Yes, we have.
Okay, I'll grab us a lid here.
And I'll let you finish the following steps. Is by filling it and putting the cap on top. Great stuff.
Okay, now, this bottle would be absolutely useless for me at home unless I have one of these, correct?
Correct. That's a water cooler.
All right, so what's the difference between one to the next?
So this is a typical household water treatment. We have your room temperature tap. So if you're doing juices, tea, coffee, you want to take it from the left-hand side. If you're doing it for drinking water, this is the cold water side. So if you're filling your bottle up to go out for a jog and you want cold water, it's cold water side. And then we have it's called a bottle-free cooler, more for an office environment. As you were talking previously about the heavy bottles, we can eliminate that with the bottle-free cooler. So it's a process that we actually purify your water in the office, so you don't have to worry about storing any bottles.
We were looking at the large membranes in the manufacturing side of things earlier this morning. Whoop! These are the mini membranes.
Correct.
Is this also using reverse osmosis to purify the water?
That is. So it's a process. We want to remove everything that's in your water, okay? So what we do is we install and eliminating from you carrying the heavy bottles, we can do it through the reverse osmosis.
Okay, what is wrong with raw water?
Raw water, well water has a lot of impurities, a lot of calcium, a lot of iron, a lot of manganese in the water. So we want to make sure that we remove all this to give you clean, clear drinking water. And also, we have the water softener side of things that we put in for your working water, meaning we want to make sure that you've no calcium, no iron, no manganese in the water to be able to protect your pipes and save you money. When you have hard water, you have a lot of calcium buildup, means more cleaning.
And more cleaning products.
Exactly. More soap for your laundry because it tends to turn it gray, and it's done through an ion exchange, and this is called zeolite. Zeolite is what it does, it extracts the calcium ion from your water and comes out softened water, so it saves you a lot of money.
All right. Head to the Culligan Water website to learn more information. It's been an interesting process.
Thank you.
Being behind the scenes here today, and we sure do appreciate you opening your doors.